The last day of the wild boar control campaign has come. We are determined to conquer the highest peaks, where the wild boars have been thriving and causing a lot of trouble. Their destruction not only affects the crops, but also threatens the lives of local people. Therefore, we decided to kill as many wild boars as possible, so that the people here no longer have to live in fear. How will the confrontation with this monster turn out? Will we be able to complete the mission? Let's follow this dramatic journey to find out the final result. Early in the morning, before the sun had time to rise, a few friends and I were ready for the wild boar hunting trip that we had been waiting for all week. This time the destination was on a hill about 10 minutes drive from the residential area, a perfect place for hunting. The road up the hill was quite bumpy, but it could not discourage us. Starting from the hillside, we gradually moved up. Suddenly, a distinctive sound echoed from afar. The pigs had shiny black fur, large and flexible bodies, and were dragging each other along the forest trail. I looked through the lens of the shotgun, observing every movement of the target. The opportunity came, I held my breath, and resolutely pulled the trigger. The shot rang out in the quiet space of the morning, and a large wild boar fell down immediately. That was the first pig on this trip. The battle officially began. I quickly chose for myself the most ideal ambush position. With the terrain being low bushes, it was not difficult for me to find a location of the wild boars. The moment it ran past, I would immediately aim and shoot. From an ambush point, I could observe the surroundings and take down several wild boars in succession. But today's battle has just begun. A few hours later, I changed to another position to wait for the prey. From above looking down the ravine, I could clearly see every movement of the wild boar herd. We could not miss the opportunity. Each person in the group immediately dispersed, each standing in a different position, ready to attack. A large male wild boar separated from the herd. This was my target. I fixed my eyes on the lens, carefully calibrated. A shot rang out, and the boar fell, but it was not an instantaneous defeat. It rushed forward at an unbelievable speed. The wild boar, wounded but still strong, rushed away, trying to escape while its wound was bleeding. I couldn't let it escape. I couldn't let this boar survive. A loud bang rang out, and the boar fell, no longer having the strength to continue. A perfect headshot, ending a dramatic chase. However, the battle was not over yet. The herd of wild boars was still there, with others lurking in the woods, just waiting for an opportunity to counterattack. Everything was going pretty smoothly until we discovered the tracks of a giant wild boar weighing up to 300 kilograms. Following its trail, we realized that this was the largest, most mature boar we had ever seen. It was no ordinary boar, but a true beast in the world of wild boars. This boar was definitely the leader. I could feel the heat of the confrontation approaching. The atmosphere seemed more tense than ever. When we spotted the boar, it was standing there, looking at us with a wary gaze. It knew we were approaching, and immediately, the boar turned around and charged towards us. I was caught off guard, but as soon as it charged, I quickly aimed at a weak point on the boar's body. A series of shots rang out from our guns. Finally, after a series of accurate shots, the giant wild boar collapsed, ending the dramatic confrontation. After killing the beast, we continued to follow the tracks of the remaining wild boars in the herd. The footprints led us up another hill, where we spotted another wild boar wandering alone. Not missing the opportunity, I quickly engaged and took down the second boar of the trip. Not long after, we spotted another boar moving near the fence area. From my position on the hill, I adjusted my gun, aiming straight at the target. A shot hit the boar right in the chest, ending a tough day of hunting. As the sun began to set, we had killed a total of 4 wild boars, including a giant weighing up to 300 kilograms. Although we were tired, we were proud of having had a very successful hunting trip. Wild boars, a wild animal that not only causes huge economic losses, but also threatens the environment and ecosystem. They reproduce at a dizzying speed, destroy crops, devastate forests, and cause heavy losses to farmers. In particular, they also have the ability to adapt quickly to all living conditions, making their control a huge challenge. Therefore, a comprehensive plan has been drawn up to prevent the invasion of this animal. The plan was implemented not only based on weapons, but also on the sophistication in setting traps and tracking the movements of wild boars. Everything was ready, and the dramatic hunt began. That day, we arrived at the meeting point. This was a large area of land where wild boars often appeared. I began to check the surrounding area, looking for traces of wild boars. Large, deep pig footprints imprinted on the wet ground led me to an area near a dense bush. This was where they often visited. After identifying the familiar paths of the pigs, I decided to set traps at these strategic points. The traps were cleverly designed, effectively capturing wild boars without causing harm to them. To attract them, I used corn and wheat as bait. The scent of these baits is irresistible to the wild boars. To ensure that the surveillance goes smoothly, I also placed some infrared cameras near the traps so that I can observe the movements of the wild boars at night. Once the traps were set, I moved to the neighboring area, where I could easily observe any movements without being detected. The whole team sat waiting, concentrating, preparing for the next attack. Using the remaining bait, I spread them out on an open field, then climbed a nearby tree to hide and wait. In my hand was the Henry carbine, a gun that stood out thanks to its fast-firing mechanism, ease of use, and powerful damage. 1 hour passed. At this time, I discovered a mature wild boar weighing about 90 kilograms approaching. Little did it know that this would be its last meal. I did not hesitate, raised my gun, aimed accurately, and pulled the trigger. The shot rang out. The wild boar collapsed to the ground. The remaining ones panicked and ran away, running in different directions. The chase began. I signaled to the team members, each taking charge of an area, coordinating closely to ensure that no one was left behind, while I continued to track and shoot down the large wild boars. The smaller ones quickly rushed into the dense bushes, trying to escape. However, with the speed and accuracy of the team members, they could not escape. Each shot was carefully calculated. A large male wild boar with shiny black fur and sharp tusks was taken down after an extremely accurate shot. I felt nervous, but also proud when I saw the spoils I had collected. After completing the chase, we went back to check the trap we had set earlier. I was quite surprised by the number of wild boars stuck in the trap. They were all large, adult animals. We handled each one carefully, making sure not to harm them when removing them from the trap. These wild boars weighed between 80 and 120 kilograms, with long, sharp tusks and bulging muscles. They were valuable trophies, but they also caused terrible destruction to the surrounding environment. After several hours of intense fighting, together with the trap I had set the night before, we had brought down more than 40 wild boars. Quite an impressive result. However, this number was still nothing compared to the huge number of wild boars in the area. Wild boars reproduce very quickly, and if left unchecked, they will continue to destroy crops, causing great damage to farmers. We know that, although we have controlled it somewhat, without a long-term and sustainable plan, the invasion of wild boars will never end. Thank you for following this journey. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next videos.
Awesome. Okay.
Every day in my cornfield is a never-ending battle. Wild boars come and destroy everything I have worked so hard to grow. No one knows how many there are. They are getting more numerous and more ferocious. My neighbors and I have to organize hunting trips to protect our crops. Today is also a normal hunting trip. I hope we can get good results. Let's watch the whole story in this video. appearance of wild boars anywhere can cause chaos. Wherever they go, trees and water sources are trampled. Dozens of hectares of crops are damaged, and small animals are also killed. It is truly a testament to destruction. The damage caused by wild boars is difficult to accurately count. However, they have made farmers feel disgusted. Hundreds of small and medium-sized farmers have had to stop production, causing great damage to the economy. Measures to cope with this crisis have been taken. However, we still feel that hunting is the most effective way. Leading the pack of hunting dogs, we were at the cornfield early in the morning. While the dogs were searching everywhere, I quietly observed from the best vantage point. After a long time of patience, there were signs of the wild boars running away. We sped up the chase across the low hillside, finally ending with a shot. At a fairly long distance, I still managed to fire a few shots. The pack of wild boars ran further and further away, but my determination to pursue them did not diminish. After a long chase, I finally ambushed the right position. The wild boar rushed towards me and faced me head on. Without waiting for it to react, I quickly pulled the trigger, aiming at its weak point. The result was completely worth it. The wild boar was taken down in the dense grass. Immediately we chased after the other wild boars that were running away. Hunting dogs kept sniffing, so the wild boars had nowhere to hide. So I had more opportunities to shoot. They were all wild boars of impressive size, which made me even more excited about the hunt. After the impressive results just now, we turned our hunting direction to the newly harvested field. In the open space, we focused on observing all the movements around us. Hours passed, and finally a wild boar appeared. The big dogs chased it, but the wild boar was quickly shot down. The excitement in the voices of the other farmers could not be hidden. It also showed how much we hated these wild boars. On the trail leading to the field, I quietly ambushed, waiting for the target to appear. A few minutes later, the wild boar's loud cry rang out. Perhaps it was being chased by the dogs. I also raised my gun and aimed in that direction. Just as the wild boars passed by, a decisive shot rang out. In the middle of the vast field, I accelerated to chase the wild boar. I hid in the bushes. It took me quite a while to chase, and I finally caught up with it. With only one chance, the wild boar passed in front of me, so I had to quickly pull the trigger. Distance and speed made it difficult to hit the target, but fortunately, I had the necessary accuracy. Although the wild boar had rushed into the forest, it collapsed. We wanted to spend all our time protecting the cornfield that was about to be harvested. I walked around to check, ready to assist the hunting dogs when needed. Barking of the dogs quickly reached me, and I was also eagerly waiting for the opportunity. In the lush sorghum, I found the target I needed. After 2 shots, everything was done. Looking at the broken sorghum plants everywhere, I felt even more hatred for the wild boars. Fortunately, this wild boar was quite large, so I felt that I was even more successful. After that, we continued to move to the sugarcane field to hunt wild boars. This place was also a familiar place for them to destroy. Unexpectedly, other hunters had also hunted wild boars here. Determined to kill wild boars, our hunt lasted until late afternoon. This time, darkness covered everything, and we had to use flashlights to illuminate. Checking each spoil one by one, we were ready to return home after a long journey. We farmers can only try to hunt wild boars regularly to minimize damage to the field. However, I also wish that there were more effective measures to control these wild boars. Thank you for following today's journey. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to support the channel. Farmer set a trap and caught a large herd of wild boars. Wild boars act like a harmful virus in the human body. They invade ecosystems, multiply rapidly, destroy valuable farmland and urban areas, endanger native wildlife, spread diseases, and pollute waterways. With no viable means of control, they are completely unstoppable. This time, I will try to catch them with a trap. Will this plan work? My farm is constantly being ravaged by ferocious wild boars, who even come to the farm during the day, so I set up a trap called Boar Buster to catch the whole herd. The Boar Buster is not just an ordinary trap made of solid steel. It is like an extremely sturdy cage hung high above the ground, allowing wild boars to freely enter and exit the trap area without any suspicion. What's special about this system that it integrates a smart camera developed by Tactical Electronics. This camera will monitor and record the entire area, providing me with vivid and clear images, regardless of day or night. When the camera system detects any movement around the trap area, it will send an immediate notification to my phone. From there, I can monitor everything through the screen and decide to activate the trap with just one simple operation. After setting the trap, I spread the grain bait in the middle of the trap, waiting for the wild boars to fall into the trap. As expected, the pigs arrived shortly after. My phone screen vibrated to notify me. They were enjoying their meal, unaware of the approaching danger. One by one, more than 20 pigs entered the trap. Bang! The trap snapped, shut quickly and accurate, trapping the pigs inside. They immediately went crazy, trying to break the trap, but it was no use. The steel was as hard as a rock, and there was no way out. Quickly moving to the scene, I had the ever-popular 22 LR rifle in my hand. A compact but extremely powerful gun, enough for me to kill each pig decisively. At this moment, I aimed and shot, focusing completely on the target. Each shot rang out. An ear-piercing sound echoed in the quiet space of the farm. One shot, one kill. Each pig was quickly taken down. After a few short minutes, the battle ended with a perfect result. The entire herd of wild boars was destroyed. After that, I cleaned up the spoils and prepared for the next trap. However, the hunt was not always smooth. That right, an unexpected incident happened when I checked the surveillance camera. As soon as it was light, we immediately headed into the deep forest, determined to hunt down the escaped giant wild boar. This time, I couldn't be complacent. In my hand was the remaining PSL, a famous Romanian semi-automatic sniper rifle. Its durability and effectiveness were the reasons I trusted this gun for today's mission, while my companion carried the Daniel Defense DD5 V4, a powerful and accurate weapon. We moved cautiously through the dense forest. Before long, we spotted a large herd of wild boars. The pigs were roaming around looking for food, and if they approached my farm, things would get bad and I had to do something before it was too late. I hid behind a big tree, slowly raised my gun, aiming carefully through the scope. I held my breath and pulled the trigger. Boom! The gunshot rang out as the wild boar was taken down. This was no ordinary wild boar. It was terrifying large, weighing up to 200 kg, with a coat of fur that was mix of white and black, looking very special.
We're thinking the guide is saying he's almost 500. I think he's about 400 on the hoof.
However, the gunshots had frightened the wild boars and they were running everywhere, but I couldn't let them escape. With quiet steps and high concentration, I chased after them one by one. The gunshots rang out continuously. Each boar was taken down, in front, beside, behind. My friend and I didn't leave any of them a chance to survive. A dramatic chase took place in the middle of the dense forest. Each of my shots rang out regularly, accurately, and decisively. After more than an hour of tension, finally the hunt ended. We had destroyed the entire herd of giant wild boars. A trip that could not have been more wonderful. At the end of the trip, I looked back at my spoils. I wasn't sure if the wild boar that I had escaped last night was among them. But one thing was certain: the days of rampage was over. afternoon, I received an urgent call from my grandmother. She complained about wild pigs ravaging her garden, destroying trees, fences, and even her green lawn. These pests often appear at night, causing her a huge headache. Although there is no way to completely repel them, I decided to try hunting to reduce their numbers. Let's see how I will deal with these wild pigs. In Texas, wild pigs are a serious threat, causing billions of dollars in damage each year. They destroy fields, damage irrigation systems, tear up cropland, and overwhelm native animal food sources. Not only do they cause damage to agriculture, wild pigs also cause traffic accidents and destroy the natural environment. Because of this serious destruction, the Texas government allows farmers and hunters to hunt wild pigs year-round, considering it's a measure to control the population and minimize damage. In the evening, I drove to the field near my grandmother's house, where wild boars often appear. It was pitch black, with only the faint light from my flashlight to guide my way. I hid behind a bush, waiting quietly. Half an hour passed, and finally, a large herd of wild boars appeared. Rummaging through the feed trough, my heart pounded as I raised my gun to aim, keeping my breathing steady to keep my hands from shaking. Shots tore through the night, each one hitting its target. When I checked, I had killed 4. An unexpected success for my first hunting trip. Although it was dark, through the Halo X35 thermal scope, every movement of the wild boars was clearly visible. Focused on the largest one, holding my breath for the perfect moment. The shots rang out sharply, and the big wild boar fell right there. The rest panicked and ran away. I quickly fired a few more shots, trying to take down more targets. When I checked, the results were not bad, which excited me and increased my confidence for the hunt. In the darkness, I saw a fat wild boar foraging near the edge of the forest. It seemed alert, its ears erect, listening for any unusual sounds. As soon as I moved a little, it immediately detected the danger and rushed away like an arrow. Its speed was too fast, far beyond my ability to react. In the blink of an eye, the wild boar disappeared into the darkness, leaving me standing there with a bit of regret. This time, I was more careful, quietly observing the sow and her piglets foraging. When the opportunity came, I did not hesitate to shoot, fearing that the delay would cause them to run away. The shot was very accurate. The sow was taken down on the spot, making me feel satisfied after all that waiting. Returning to the feeding trough, I discovered a few wild boars busy foraging. Although not too big, they were formidable destroyers. I patiently observed, waiting for the perfect opportunity. When the time came, a decisive shot rang out, and the wild boar collapsed on the spot. Missing the opportunity, I continued to shoot a few more times before the pigs could escape. Thanks to careful preparation, I achieved results beyond my expectations. When the forest was silent, I suddenly saw a pair of bright eyes flashing in the darkness. The wild boar was hiding behind a tree. I gently adjusted the gun, trying to aim at the target. When the decisive moment came, I held my breath and pulled the trigger. The gunshot broke the darkness and the wild boar fell on the spot. A memorable moment of success in the deep forest. Until midnight, I was still excited about this hunting trip. Before me was a herd of about 5 to 6 wild boars, although not too many. Their size was impressive. I could only aim at one target. After a decisive shot, the wild boar fell on the spot. The remaining ones panicked and ran away. I also quickly raised my gun and shot at them. As a result, I was able to take down a few more, bringing home a very great result. I thought it was over, but suddenly from the middle of the vast field, a herd of wild boars appeared and gradually advanced towards me. They were constantly searching, probably trying to move towards the residential areas to easily find food. After a few minutes of observation, I realized that this was a fairly large herd. However, I had to choose an easy target. After careful consideration, I stopped. My sights on a large wild boar. A gunshot rang out. The wild boar fell immediately. The remaining herd quickly disappeared into the forest. However, I had enough spoils for today's hunt and decided to return home to rest. Although I couldn't completely drive away the wild boars, these hunts helped reduce their numbers in the area. If I could hunt more often, wild boars would definitely appear less frequently near residential areas. Thank you for following today's journey, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Many wild boars in the mountains behind my town. All of them are huge and extremely ferocious. A serious threat to the surrounding fields. Recently, my grandmother complained about wild boars destroying her vegetable garden. When I had some free time, I invited a few friends to go hunting, hoping to scare the wild boars away from the fields. Will I be successful in this hunt? Let's find out. Wild boars appear in such large numbers that they sometimes lose their fear of humans. They gather in large groups on deserted roads and have no intentions of running away when they see us. Economic losses in agriculture are nothing new. They are becoming bolder, always looking to invade residential areas in search of food. No one likes these dirty, smelly, disease-carrying creatures in their yard. So we're doing everything we can to reduce the number of wild boars that appear here. We reached the top of the mountain quite early. The sound of hunting dogs echoed everywhere. It wasn't too difficult for us to find our first target. A giant wild boar was being fiercely pursued by my hunting dogs. It was too fat, and its speed was also slow, so it couldn't escape the pursuit. We followed the target, and as soon as it was in the most favorable range, a decisive shot rang out. It wasn't too difficult to start. I had just hunted a giant wild boar. It's been a long time since I've been on such a dramatic hunting trip. In front of me was a herd of wild boars, each one large, strong and agile. Across the road, I fired several shots in succession. My unique hunting style worked extremely well. We then continued to chase the fleeing wild boars. Dogs barked loudly and I quietly followed, waiting for the right moment to act. As expected, dogs drove the wild boar out of the bushes. I quickly pulled the trigger. Continuous gunshots. I hunted down the target I wanted. In the forest, the chase was still fierce. We had to help the hunting dogs, so chasing the wild boars became easier. Moreover, the hunters here were all experienced, knew how to hunt these monsters. While ambushing on a trail, I guessed the direction of wild boars. The herd of wild boars was not too large. They were also extremely powerful destroyers. I immediately chased them and fired a few shots. The herd of wild boars was too fast. In just a moment they disappeared into the forest. With their pursuit at the end, I followed closely and took down 3 of them. I was not satisfied with that result. I continued to follow the trail, determined to destroy this herd of wild boars. Wild boars separated from the herd and ran away in panic. I did not hesitate any longer, quickly finishing off the target when possible. From the top of the high mountain, I only observed one wild boar. Its skin and fur were grey, so it looked quite strange. The running speed was not too fast. I also patiently followed. When it reached the right position, I raised my gun and fired an accurate shot. It was indeed a monster. Still fat wild boars lurking in the bushes. They were chased away by dogs. There were no way to escape. We stood on the opposite side of the mountain, choosing the opportunity when they appeared and started shooting. The method was much more comfortable than chasing them ourselves. Our ambush and dog chase tactics were still extremely effective. We did not miss a single wild boar that passed us. Gunshots rang out regularly. Wild boars were taken down one by one. Spoils of war were increasing, and we could not hide our excitement. There was still a large herd of wild boars appearing. They also ran away at lightning speed. Gunshots rang out constantly as all the remaining hunters focused on these targets. Sparse bushes could not help them escape, and we still had the possibility to aim and shoot. No one wanted to miss such a great opportunity. The whole group focused entirely on the hunt, although the herd of wild boars tried to survive in the ravines of bushes. Still tried to chase them. Slopes in the bushes, anywhere we could find the downed wild boar. And perfect coordination of the whole group of hunters brought great results. After the hunt, we had killed quite a few destructive wild boars. Certainly the number of wild boars left is not small, so we can hardly give up hunting trips. Thank you for joining us on this trip. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. See you in the next hunting trip. Fruit-laden orchard suddenly becomes a battlefield when a pack of ferocious wild boars rushes in, destroying everything in their path. What will farmer do to protect his year of hard work from the destruction of these wild animals? Let's follow the fierce battle between humans and wild boars in the dramatic and breathtaking chase right after. Dawn broke, our group left the small village and headed into the hills, where wild boars were wreaking havoc on crops. Vast fields of grain and lush orchards looked like a peaceful picture, but the peace was quickly shattered when a herd of wild boars appeared, stirring up chaos right before our eyes. A large herd of wild boars had penetrated deep into the orchard. We quickly split into two teams. One group surrounded the outside of the orchard, while the agile hounds charged straight inside. Chasing the pigs began to move in a chaotic manner, barking loudly, and then a small wild boar ran out of the trees with the frightened look on his face. I was ready, a shotgun in my hand, aimed straight at the target. Boom! Broke the silence. A perfect shot. The wild boar staggered and then collapsed. A miserable cry rang out. But this was the price it had to pay for the destruction it had caused. But that was only the beginning. Inside the orchard, another wild boar roared loudly. It was much larger, weighing at least 120 kg, with jet black fur and glowing red eyes. It charged at an incredible speed. However, the pack of hunting dogs had already surrounded it and attacked fiercely. They had cornered the wild boar with no way out. After dealing with the threat in the orchard, we headed to our main destination for the day. The hill, about a 10-minute drive from the orchard. The rough and the winding roads did not faze us. When we arrived, the scene before us was vile. The hills were high and the trees were dense, a haven for wild boars. As soon as I got out of the car, I spotted a large black-furred boar galloping across the hillside. It looked like something was chasing it, and I knew this was my chance. I raised my gun to my shoulder and aimed. My first shot missed, the boar dodging with surprising agility. But not letting it escape, I quickly reloaded and pulled the trigger a second time. This time the bullet flew straight at the target, a perfect shot. The boar staggered and rolled down the hillside. A sense of victory filled me. From the distant hill, another herd of wild boars appeared, wandering around looking for food. I aimed straight at a large pig with pale grey fur. It seemed to be leading the herd. As the leader left the bushes, I took a precise aim and pulled the trigger. Boom! The bullet hits its head. The leader fell down in an instant. A loud explosion caused the whole herd of pigs to panic. They ran in all directions. Not wasting any chance, I continued to aim and shoot one by one. Shot, then shoot again. Gunshots continued. 1, 2, 3. One by one, the pigs fell.
Ali, Ali.
At this point, with a distance of 500 meters, I knew this would be a real challenge, but also an opportunity to show off my top shooting skills. I aimed at a large wild boar in the distance. With a steady breath, I held my hand steady and pulled the trigger. The bullet flew through the air. The long distance made me nervous, and then, boom! The wild boar was hit and fell on the spot. A spectacular shot at an extremely difficult distance. A sense of excitement and victory spread throughout my body. This was the result of months of relentless training, and this was how farmers fought to protect their crops from wild boars. With determination, excellent shooting skills, and tireless perseverance. Although we had killed one target, the loud noise only caused more chaos among the wild boars. They began to run away, hiding behind the dense trees. Suddenly, from the right side, a huge wild boar rushed out with terrifying speed. It moved like lightning, but my hunter instincts reacted immediately. I raised my gun, boom! The wild boar collapsed to the ground.
passage.